Welcome to your cell. You're going to be here for 23 hours a day.
You can be sent to solitary for
disobeying a direct order.
More than 6.10.
Fighting is 90 days extra. Yelling too loud.
Somebody's labeled a gang member.
any kind of drugs.
Looking at a correction officer. Just looking at him.
Having too many rolls of toilet paper is 90 days extra.
Too many postage stamps.
Eating all of your food.
And it's not uncommon to find somebody who's sentenced to a year and then ends up with 5, 6, 7 years in a pile.
After a while, things start to slip.
I find myself floating.
As a psychologist, I can tell you that you are going to undergo many different kinds of reactions, and some of them will be more immediate than others.
You know, you see like the paint on the wall. That paint probably been there maybe 50 years before I got there. So you start seeing figurines.
You know, you think you hear them calling you from the officer station.
The toilet dip drips because it sweats and it hits the floor. Stupid.
People turn on themselves.
They want to treat us like animals. We might as well act like animals.
There are high rates of suicide and self-harm.
People understand is violence. All they understand is a violent reaction. You can't have no diplomacy with this institution.
It could either break you or make you, and if it breaks you, you know what, you're just gonna just be broken, physically and mentally. Oh, I haven't seen a tree or a plant since 2003.
The only thing that I've seen is a spider in the corner, and I find them little bugs sometimes, and I feed the spider. That's about the only closest thing to nature I have.
It's not to the point where you want to commit suicide. But sometimes I'm at the point that I be wanting to write to the judge, say, just give me the death penalty. Just give me the death penalty, man.
Okay, so Sarah.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what you do and how you do it?
Sure. I am a recreation therapist. I work within the prison system. I work in an all-male maximum security prison. I typically run on average 3 to 4 hours of group a day with anywhere from 25 to 35 inmates in each group. Prison is almost like a different world, a different universe. I was explaining like the rules of society or the social norms that we abide by within our communities is not the same that they abide by within prison. Those prison rules are almost all made up by the gangs and kind of enforced by the gangs within prison.
You had people in here that's been in solitary confinement longer than I've been alive.
If you could put every emotion of the human spirit of hopelessness, pain, agony, hatred, frustration, a sense of continuous silently screaming, all these emotions, while you're locked in this cage treated like some animal. Most people wouldn't even treat an animal like that. An animal who was suffering pain, they would take him to the vet and do something for him.
Like I had to take a lot of deep breaths before I came in here. Just being around people, it's not awkward, it's a good feeling, but it's still an anxiety feeling because I haven't been, it's like, wow, I'm around free people, I'm around regular people.
You were asking as far as like mental health, if the SHU term is helpful. And I said no, because if you have mental health illness, being isolated, being taken away from people isn't helpful. But there's also kind of a downside to SHU terms because if you don't have a mental health illness and you are stuck in there for such a long time, you could potentially end up having some sort of mental illness develop out of being isolated for so long.
This is a behavior modification, psychological, low-intensity warfare against the mind of a human being. That's what exists here at Pelican Bay.
It's the same thing day in and day out.
It's
Don't
just
change.
psyching ourselves out to make the best of the day.
It's kind of robotic. If you just spoke to 100 guys today, it's the same thing. I get up in the morning, I wash up, I drink my coffee.
Roll up my mattress,
I
fold
get
my
up,
blankets and sheets,
I'll brush my teeth, I'll drink some coffee,
drink water,
brush my teeth again,
clean the cell,
towel,
clean the seat,
toilet,
the floor, the walls.
You do certain things just to fill up that time.
Where you can hear the vent and you focus on it, like, man, did I just hear a whisper right now? And the person starts focusing on this little noise because the noises and the vision are the senses. And that's what we have to constantly survive. But if I had a window to look out, I think if they came by every half an hour, I'd be sitting in that window.
Yes, I committed a crime to come to prison, but don't make the assumption that my current situation here being Pelican Bay SHU is due to my continuous criminal behavior, because I have grown that a long time ago.
Humankind has a history of ugliness, and humankind also has a history of beauty. It's in all of us, and you need laws to have a society not go into chaos. Ultimately, people have the ability to look at what is bad and good in a way that is not insulting, not aggressive, not with bullets, through psychology, creating a better understanding of each other. Everybody deserves a chance. Thank you for taking your time to hear my voice, because our voices are rarely heard. Okay.
Out of the 24 years that I served in Walpole State Prison, I probably did like 17 years, 18 years in segregation. And I did long stretches. There were short times, but the longest one was 10 years I spent down there. So it was the last time in 10 block. From there, I served the other 7 in DDU. The crazy thing about it was I started out with 1 year, and it turned into a big monster, 7 years. And pretty much, as I explained on the last one, I was forcibly labeled as a reason to justify for them to take me from one segregation to put me to a level 7. Because I left from a level 6 to a higher level. The purpose why I refused is because I was having trouble mentally in dealing with segregation for so long. And really there, you hardly ever see a counselor comes by. He comes by, he'll spend 2 minutes with you, want to give you all the medication you want. But it doesn't solve the problem mentally, because what happens, your mind deteriorates little by little. You forget the days, you forget the time. Sometimes I had trouble, I didn't even remember who I was. It was really frustrating for me in that closed environment, because it's like a closet. And when they took the TVs away, it was even more difficult.
Without being in chains since 2004. The conditions back here are horrible. You don't get no sunlight. You don't get no, the only exercise is a walk on the yard, which I don't know if you've seen the yards yet. And now we get a stupid handball to throw around the wall. And it's, you know, it's fun for the first 10 minutes when you're out there by yourself. It's a new little toy. But like with any new toy, you get bored of it real quick. It was built deliberately to break people down mentally, to break them down. There was a special report from a doctor from California who came, a psychiatrist. He's a psychiatrist for the United States State Prisons on segregation. He made it clear to the judge that if a man even stays here 3 days, he can lose his mind. He said it's a dangerous place because they filed a lawsuit against it. But for some reason, the courts didn't want to intervene. They said that when it comes to security, the Department of Correction can do whatever they want. And so I refused for that reason to go there, because I was having a mental problem. Today I've been diagnosed with that, so it just didn't start today or 2001. I had this way before I went to 10 block.
And unfortunately, it just got worse when I went to 10 block for them 10 years, and it got even worse more and 7 years in DDU.
Don't get no darker than watching a man go insane in the cell and you fight hard to try to save him and lose the battle. I fought, you know, to try to save men we seen going insane. It don't get any darker than that. Yeah, I can't tell you how many men that I, you know, form strong bonds of friendship with go insane, you know.
Is in my opinion, is solitary confinement necessary? And I want to explain a couple things on that. The first is that solitary confinement is not anything new within our society. It's something that has been done for a very long time. If you have kids, you do it with them. If they get in trouble, you put them in timeout. They go by themselves and they have that time to basically reflect and calm down and move forward with getting over what they did. The same thing would be like as if your neighbor, you know, stabbed someone or killed their wife. They're going to go to jail. They're going to be in kind of like a solitary confinement. They're just taken out of the situation or the circumstances that they're in, the environment, to be able to calm down and have that time, and also create a safe space for the victims that are around them. As far as my opinion for is the solitary confinement necessary, I think yes. I think it's necessary for various crimes that are committed within prison to protect either the inmate population or staff that's in there or the society, depending on who that person is that got put into solitary confinement. So it's pretty necessary for various things.
Humankind has a history of ugliness, and humankind also has a history of beauty. It's in all of us, and you need laws to have a society not go into chaos. Ultimately, people have the ability to look at what is bad and good in a way that is not insulting, not aggressive, not with bullets, through psychology.